Takkar is a year-long test series program with 146 tests. This program is especially designed for UPSC, CSC, prelims and mains exam. It has 4 phases. Phase 1, pre-cum-mains test. In phase 2, we conduct tests exclusively for the prelims exam. And in phase 3, we will conduct tests for mains exam. And in phase 4, we will help you to prepare for interview through interview guidance program. So why to wait? You can enroll for it now.
Welcome everyone. So this is today we are going to discuss the concept of nudge. Before that, I would like to tell you, as you know, Takkar test. This is a year-long test series being run by Lukmaan IAS, and I have been emphasizing this thing again and again in this lecture. We want to assure you this is a very quality test series. This is a year-long test series, and this is very high ROI product, return on investment. If you write seriously, if you will write seriously tests, you will seriously evaluate your answer. You know, the relationship between teacher and a student is reciprocal. So please, this is now. What is the purpose of today's lecture? Nudge, you know, if you can recall, 2-3 years back, there was also a chapter in a college survey on nudge theory. So I was thinking that let's say, you know, UPSC open question PYQs are open-ended. Let's say there is a question on affordable energy or gender equity. Let's say you know, in SDG also twice they have mentioned gender equity. In SDG 5, gender equity, and SDG 10, right? You know, achieving equality like that. So now you have to bring gender equity in India, and India or maybe in India, but there is a, you understand. Okay, you observe the child sex ratio in India. Although since 2018-19 it has been improving, but see, if you recall, Professor Amartya Sen wrote a wonderful chapter with Professor Jean Dreze. I'm not able to recall the year, but anyway, what he said. Let's say this is India, right? This is India, and you draw a diagonal which passes through Gangtok, and you know, cut India diagonally. Okay, let me, you know, let us imagine this is India, and you cut India diagonally. This area, right? The upper side of this diagonal, left-hand side of this diagonal, has very low child sex ratio. Now he said, you know, it is happening due to many factors. Environmental factors are there, attitude, social attitude, looking at the woman as a burden, child as a burden. So you are aware that a scheme like Beti Bachao, Beti Padhao, and why in India in 21st century we need such types of schemes? You know, these are the schemes of, let's say, do you think in any developed country you find schemes like that? It is happening in developing countries because of our attitudes, our position in that development journey. We are very far behind. But anyway, one cannot, you know, one cannot achieve sustainable development without gender equity. In fact, if you recall, there was an essay topic in UPSC 2016 or 17. You see, if the development is not engendered, it is endangered. Or in fact, if I can, you know, I was going through one SDR report by Professor Mahbul Haq. It was in 1995. Okay, so you see, if you go to UNDP website, you go on UNDP website, you will find a previous year report, and these are wonderful resources. You know, let's say when you say you have to write a good essay, you do not write good essay by, you know, reading website. No. You have to read reports, read national education policy, national health policy, invest your time in such reports, SDR reports. So one of those reports written by Professor Mahbul, all the reports are written by many, you know, people, but he was the head architect. So this theme was running in that report. What if the development is not endangered? It is engendered. It is endangered. So you have to bring the woman equation into the, you know, you have to give the country has to give the due of a woman. Then only the development will become, you know, sustainable development. So given this understanding, and you see PYQ, they ask for your recommendations. So this is my view. If you use this nudge theory, you will somehow, able to score 2 to 3 extra marks in, let's say you get 2-3 question in PYQ, and you can get that question in either in GS3 or GS4. GS3, I give you example, let's say they are asking about gender equity, how you will promote it in India. Okay, so you have to give their quality views. Do not give, by running this scheme, no. Those are professors, they are looking for some refined views. Or let's say in GS4 also in paper 1 section, or in paper 4, let's say you have to change attitude. So this theory can help you, but do not write superficially. What my idea is today, we will go in details. We will not only go through the relevant UPSC or that economic survey chapter on nudge. We will also see the work of Professor Richard Thaler. Richard Thaler, although Professor Richard Thaler, is a famous behavioral economist. He is a professor at Chicago School of Business, and if I'm not mistaken, even our former chief economic advisor, he was a student of his, and that's why you can see our chief economic advisor was a student of Professor Richard Thaler. He studied behavioral economics, although he's PhD not in behavioral economics, but he studied this concept from him, and now that thought is automatically flowing in your economic survey, and not only UPSC aspirant, India is getting that. See, this is how it happens. So what my point is, not only Professor Richard Thaler, before that Professor Daniel Kahneman, Professor Tversky, they laid the foundation of prospect theory. Okay, for UPSC, what I will do, I will tell you a story so that you can connect the dots. Now what happened, there is a fundamental assumption in economics, what they say, every human try to rationalize. When you say rationality in economics, it means maximizing your profit, maximizing your payoff. Always remember, and this is not same as intelligence. So this is a fundamental assumption in economics. So what Professor Daniel Kahneman, Professor, I will write it here, Daniel E.L. Kahneman and Tversky, Professor Tversky, both were Israelis. Okay, and they gave a wonderful work. It is called prospect theory. What I will do, I will use it here. I can use it here. Otherwise, this is fine, right? They gave the prospect theory. And what was prospect theory? It's a very, very simple concept, but involves deep thinking. See, do not think, these are not some storytellers. These are, their work is based on years of research. They are not, storytellers, some anecdotes. No. Do not think, somebody out of their fancies. No. So what they said, this assumption that people are rational is slightly flawed. They did not say that it is completely wrong. They say people think somewhere between, they want to maximize their profits, but they also have some biases. The biases in decision making. Biases in decision making, right? DM means decision making. So they discussed about these biases, and this led to the prospect theory. Prospect theory, what is the main idea? It says humans prefer status quo. Status quo. Let's say Government of India is running a scheme, okay, and they want to increase the enrollment in let's say pension, savings. They want to increase the enrollment in saving, and the default option is there are two options. Scheme, you got that notification. There are two options. Let's say one option is yes or no. That is fine. You are giving choice to that particular person whether you want to opt for this scheme or not. But let's say default, you choose the default option yes. So what is the tendency in human being? Okay, just see it and leave it. So what will happen automatically? The person will get, concerned person will get enrolled. If you choose the default option no, then that person has to take pain, right? He has to select it. So these types of intervention are called nudges, and it is a flow from prospect theory, right? Prospect theory, if I'm not mistaken, in 1970s, 80s to 90s, right? 80 to 90, it had a wonderful time, and this is what. And from prospect theory comes out your nudge theory. Nudge theory. Okay, so what I am trying to say, nudge, you will use this concept nudge theory and try to write somewhere in a mains copy. See, in mains copy, you have to write 3,500 words in every paper. In essay, let's say you are writing 2,000 words. So try to write those refined words. ऐसे नहीं कुछ भी भर दिया copy में. See, UPSC writes right. Content is more important than the length of answer. Try to write quality points. So I assume the next 30-35 minutes which we are going to invest, please try to do some quality work. So generally, let's say there is a CAB model. CAB model is also called cognition, affective, behavior model. This is on how attitudes are formed. What it says, first you have cognition. Then it affects you, and then leads to change in behavior. There is a wonderful example given again by Professor Daniel Kahneman. What he said, let's say there is an employee. He says he feels that okay, my the perks, privileges, or maybe salary he's getting is not sufficient. He's getting less compared to others. So this is first is cognition. Suppose he's not aware of somebody is not aware that he's poor or he's rich. The first thing is cognition. Then it affect. Affect means your there is your I will not say attitude change happens. No, it affects. It tells you okay, something is wrong. Right? That it has to do with sentiments. I do not want to use the technical word, but yes, affect, and then that leads to change in behavior. Right? This is a 3-step model. Okay, one more thing. There are some psychologists who may say okay, behavior followed attitude follow behavior, and Professor Fladstein theory is also there. But yes, more or less we can say this model is fine, and this model, I'm sure many of might be mentioning in GS4 others, if you have psychology optional like that. So this is one thing. Second part, we will go into economic survey chapter and see how you can use it. So let me start with that. What it says, economic survey chapter. What it is, where it is. Yeah, okay. Now see, this is from the 2019, but do not think, see, ऐसा नहीं कि 2019 this is very, very relevant and very, I will not say it is not rigorously written, but yes, it has captured the main ideas of Professor Richard Thaler. And what it is trying to say, see, this is also very interesting. We cannot rely on totally rational thinking to gain information, as it is not without bias. See what prospect, our sages captured it long back, what prospect theory is trying to say. So, so can you see, it is evidence, how deep was their thinking. So what is the problem in India? We run many schemes. So what they are trying to say, what this economics says, you can nudge people towards desirable behavior. And nudge, I have already given an example. What is nudge? It is kind of intervention. Okay. See, some people call it libertarian paternalism. Now, libertarian paternalism, it looks like a very technical word. What it meant? Okay, it may also look like oxymoron. Oxymoron, yes, oxymoron example is like deafening silence. So similarly, it is looking like libertarian and paternalism as well. So libertarian and paternalism are opposite. What you understand? Okay. So what the nudge is trying to say, you give liberty to people. Let's say just now example which you gave. Okay, there are two options. So still you are giving two options to people whether to opt for this scheme or no. So liberty is also there. But paternalism means it is not forceful. You are trying to suggest them if you opt for this scheme, this is beneficial for you. This is not marketing gimmicks. This is not marketing gimmicks. This is something well for the welfare of this country. In fact, if you recall well, our chief economic advisor made a recommendation that behavioral economics unit must be established in Niti Aayog. See, tomorrow some of you will get selected, you will join services, then you will understand the meaning of this recommendation. See, let's say there is a think tank, India's most important think tank is Niti Aayog. You establish a behavioral economics unit, and you mix it with the rational policy decision making happening in India, and on the basis of that, let's say public policy and ideas are flowing into the country, to the to every village and nook and corner of this country, that will have an effect. So very, very meaningful. But he also made a recommendation that these behavior economists should be, have some research experience, and they must know what is behavior economics. They should not be storytellers. Okay, so that is what. So to what what it is to desirable behaviors. Let's say you want to increase the child sex ratio. So how you can do it? So now, okay, let's see this line. First, a key principle of behavioral economics is that what people's behavior is influenced significantly by social norms. Right? See, even in management, there is saying, culture eats strategy for breakfast every day. Every day is a super plus word. Culture eats strategy for breakfast. Yes, if the social norms are there, that let's say somebody is accepting the social norm that a girl has to be should get married at age of 15, 16, should not. They are not investing in the education of a woman, then that's a problem. See, now you cannot enhance the, you cannot increase the child sex ratio and the enrollment of women in education on sentiments. No, sentiments. Let's say if you talk logically, you say, let's say woman is not educated, woman is not well educated, and tomorrow there is a son or maybe daughter in the family, and that mother is all the time going to live with that child. And if you're not investing in the woman in the education of a woman, what will happen to that child? He himself will come down. It is not that it will automatically happen. So that is one logical reason that India, not only India, the world has to invest in the education and other human development parameter of women. Fine. Now, the influence spectrum of public policy. This is what they are talking about. The main idea is captured here. Let's say one dimension is, let's say, laissez-faire, freewheeling, and this is mandate. This is a kind of a law. Okay, you have to do this. Let's say alcohol is banned, that is mandate, and this is laissez-faire. Okay, you can do it, you cannot do it. Let's say if I do not send my son to school, who's going to punish me? Anyone can do it, no that. But if let's say there is a law that you have to send, then it's a mandate. And let's say there is schemes. Let's say somebody is paying somebody. Let's say what I mean to say in villages. Let's say you get midday meal and all those things. So you might slightly be encouraged to send your son or daughter to school. But again, between laissez-faire and incentive, there is a thing called nudge. Nudge is important. What it says, it is something even more effective than let's say subsidies and all those things. It is bringing in positive behavior through the application of behavioral economics. So that is here is where nudge law is between laissez-faire and okay. Now here they are talking about Adam Smith theory of moral sentiment. Adam Smith was a classical economist. In fact, he was first he was a philosopher, then he became an economist, and he wrote a wonderful book, The Theory of Moral Sentiment. See, not only this, sometimes I feel not only economics, many studies emerges out of philosophy. See, philosophy is the genesis of knowledge, right? So the work of Hume, and Adam Smith, and later. We will go into deep waters here, but it is my suggestion here. Sometime you will invest time reading one or two essays of Hume. Not during your preparation, after that. So you will understand, okay, then all of a sudden you will connect, okay, whatever you read in economic surveys, those ideas has genesis in those Hume's essays. Okay, the essays of Adam Smith. Right, so here he talks about moral sentiment, and what he said, that human choices are limited by cognition, ability, attention, and motivation. Okay, see, our decision making, it will be affected by our cognitive ability, right? Attention, motivation. Let's say thousands of lakhs of aspirants are preparing for UPSC. Everyone has got 24 hours, right? Maybe let's say resources. Some student might be constrained for resources, due to social and economic condition. But yes, nobody can deny that at least there are 3 lakh aspirants. They're well to do, but not everyone will get selected. Only 800. Why? Because due to difference in their attention, motivation, how long, to what dedication you are, you are willing what dedication you are putting in your long-term goals. That is very, very important. Fine. Okay. See, now what they are saying, that a large fraction of individual opt for default choice. Let's say you are floating a scheme, you are giving some choices to a customer. If you just change the default option, that is kind of a nudge. And it is not that you are taking away some choice. No, let's say you are giving 3 choices, but you want to keep some option default. So that is what. And why it happens? Because people have an anchoring bias. Anchoring bias means whatever, let's say people do not want to change their job easily, do not want to change their profession easily, right? And so there is anchoring bias, like a ship will drop an anchor. So if a ship drop an anchor, ship has to revolve around that anchor only. So that's why. Once a default option is presented to them, they anchor to it, and that is what Tversky and Kahneman, said in their paper, 1974. Similarly, with Professor Thaler, Professor Cass Assistant has also written, many works, again on behavioral economics. So this is fine. Now let us move to, okay, here they give an example, how this, behavioral economics is helping you change behavior. Let's see this example. Tax compliance. People, let's say you want to increase the tax enrollment, total tax collection to increase tax buoyancy. You can say people need reminder and positive reinforcement to sustain socially desirable behavior. So what the government did, what kind of intervention it was? People were sent variation of tax message and how their taxes make a difference to public services. See, in your mains paper, you can write, let's say you have to write, you can make, let's say there is a panchayat, some public development. Let's say road construction is there, school construction is there. But if you just put a signboard that being constructed by taxpayer money, okay, no need to put, being constructed from this this neta and that neta. People are, they are not going to get motivated by it. Just put a simple message, being constructed by taxpayer money, and that will encourage, that will send them message, okay, the paying tax is a very, very desirable behavior. Fine. So these kind of things you can write, and I am sure you will get some. You try to read this thing. Now, okay, see this thing. Behavioral economics is not, however, a panacea for policy. See, policy making is a very, I will say, very high level skill. Like research and policy making, they're very high level skill. Ideas flows from research only, right? Policy makers cannot, it's very difficult for them to generate ideas. Ideas flows from research only. Like this professor will invest time, then they will share their learning, then policy makers, administrators, they will design that policy maker. Then comes the role of politician, local politician, village leaders, gram sabhas, to disseminate that idea. So can you see the flow of idea? So that's why it is very, very important. Nudge policies cannot and should not supplant the incentive-based and mandate-based policy. Fine. Now let's see here. Now you can understand, let's say, different types of scheme. Give it up. It was completely voluntary. You want to give it up and you don't want to give it up. And if you recall well, in give it up, let's say somebody says, okay, 1 crore people give up their subsidy, LPG subsidy. But if you observe the data, most of them were from Northeast. Right? People from, sorry to say, people from my state or North India, they do not want to give up that. Although maximum number of people having subsidy were in North India belt. So, but if you say publicly that Northeast people have given up their subsidy, not the North and South India people, then it will send a wrong message. So, many people may not appreciate it. But yes, this is a fact. But it was completely voluntary. Now, Aadhaar has a slightly nudge factor. And let's see this thing. Ban on alcohol. It has everything. If you want to give up voluntarily, that is very good. If you want to give up through nudge, that is also very good. If you want to, some incentivization, that's. But if you do not do, then the law will come into the picture. So this is a very okay. So from this, you can understand the spectrum of where the nudge comes into the picture. So where nudge can play a role. Can you see? Nudge is playing almost in many things. Fine. Okay. You understand this social norm thing. Now, Swachh Bharat missions. In Swachh Bharat mission, you know, right? Let's say open defecation free, India, and almost by 2018-19, the thing was over. But what are the important, where you can use the principle of nudge. So there was some children, they were also called Swachha Grahi, right? Swachha Grahi. They were developed as a messenger. Let's say if there is an adult, people aren't going to listen. But if the child says something that this habit is not good, India has to be, India has to be such, then that is very, very effective. Now let's see this data. Yeah, this is nothing but a regression line. If you remember, in the last regression line, in the last lecture, we discussed what is regression. You cannot live without without regression line. If you are joining services, you have to understand the regression line. What it says: percentage of household access to toilet, okay, and female literacy rate. Can you see? It is positively sloped. As female literacy rate is increasing, at the percentage of access. See, forget everything. You will have extra, positive time, so that can be invested in education. So similarly here, the percentage of women getting married before 18 years. See, when the literacy rate will rise, women will marry late. Right? In Scandinavian country, the things have gone so bad, the women are not marrying anymore. Right? They are so much interested in their career. So India has to decide what, where on that trajectory it has to place itself. Fine. Okay. So this is the way you will see. Okay, this is fine. This is why local ambassadors of change are more effective in getting through people than mass media campaign. See, mass media campaign, if you flood somebody with lots of advertisement day in day out, what the people do you think people are going to get affected by that? No. In fact, Aristotle gave a framework. It's a very wonderful framework. What he said for people will accept a message when it has three dimensions: ethos, pathos, and logos. Ethos, pathos, logos. Logos means it has to be logical. Pathos means it has to be emotional. Right? It has to connect, not emotional. That means sentiment. No, not transient sentiment. That means real work, and it has to be ethical. True message. So if these three elements are there, that kind of message will work, and this is what they are trying to achieve through ambassadors of change in Swachh Bharat. Swachha Grahi was there. See, I could have made this PPT, but when you discuss the original document you want to show, I believe that is more effective. Just making a PPT and just saying blah blah blah. I don't think that will work. Now see the beti bachao beti padhao. This thing, child sex ratio, big problem in India. But see, what is the biggest problem? I think in 2017-18 also, 16 or 17 they asked this question. Now, child sex ratio decrease rate is very high among even tribals. Now that's a problem. That egalitarian society, they have also come into the fold of the negative social attitude. Okay, with the scheduled caste, it happened long back, right? Their sanskritization have happened. But even with the tribal, this thing happened, and this is a thing of worry. So immediately we have to, we should not let that negative thought, negative attitude percolate in that egalitarian society, right? That is not so very, very important thing. But the good thing is that child sex ratio is improving. Fine. Let's say here they talk about a very wonderful message. Panipat 3 wars. Now a battle has to be won. So, and in Haryana had a very low, lowest, I think around 834 or something. In 2001, the child sex ratio was 834, right? And national average was 919. So they started the campaign from Panipat. Okay, now see, those wars are, what are those wars? Fought with sword. Those are idiotic wars. The real wars are this. Humans has to win such wars. Okay, so what they are trying to say, if you can win this war, if you can increase the child sex ratio, that will be, that will go into the memory of a civilization. No? So wonderful. I like this, this session, whosoever envisioned it. It's a wonderful, wonderful, uh, uh, I will say wonderful, wonderful step, right? So, okay, health management information system. Now, as an UPSC aspirant, you need not to know, but let's say you want to code something. So always remember, to those professors who are going to check your copy, they know ins and out. In India, this is the most authentic health data system, right? If you are quoting something, quote it, wonderfully. You can say, let's say you know some data, you can say health, as per the health management information system. Very authentic data. In India, two data are very authentic. One is village land data. Although nowadays what is happening, the revenue from the land, village land has decreased, so the data is also is not being kept well. But yes, till India was getting high revenue from land taxes, that time the data was well kept. You knew even, where is one particular canal, the data is so well kept, right? And the second is health data. Okay. Right. Now this self-made daughter, right? So how to change the social attitude. Okay. Now let's say, now the selfie culture is there, but why not to use that culture for something positive for the society? So selfie will become, but again, this is just a campaign. The main change has to come through real actions. Now here they talk about failure bias. See, what is the failure bias? The failure bias is the tendency to focus on failure rather than success, because failures have greater visibility, right? So this again, so rather than saying that India is not able to achieve, let's say from let's say in the last 5 years, India has improved the child sex ratio. So rather than reminding ourselves that India's child sex ratio was declining, we can say India's child sex ratio is now improving last 5 years. This is a positive step, and that will send positive memories in the human mind as well. So that is what they are trying to say. Okay. Now this thing also you can see. Again, let's say you have to use nudge. Namami Ganga is there. Now the scheme name is, somebody might say, no, it is due to the, no. You have to always take things in the positive. Namami Ganga means, I pray to Ganga. Ganga is a river, right? You are praying to that. And when you have that kind of emotion, for a natural element, then you will automatically develop that you are not going to pollute this river. Fine. So this is the way Ayushman Bharat. Okay. Ayushman means blessed with long life. So accordingly, the moment you listen to the scheme name, okay, Ayushman, so you will have positive vibes. So universal, affordable, access to good quality healthcare, and that is also your SDG 3. Okay. Now here they are talking about the 7 principles of behavioral economics. Somewhere you can use it. Leverage default tool. This we have already discussed. You change your default option such a way that it brings, it enhance the social capital, social and economic capital of the citizens. Make it easy to choose. Let's say if you give 10 choices to somebody, no, they will get confused. Just give 1 or 2 choices, very simple choices. Okay. Emphasize social norms. As we saw in the Satyagrahi case. Let's say if you make a social stigma to defecate and open, then you are emphasizing social norms. Disclose outcomes. Let's say somebody donated kidney, okay, voluntarily, and he might feel, okay, heroism like that, okay, but that heroism will go away after, let's say, 5-10 days. 5-10 days, yes, that is how human nature works. But let's say somebody used that particular kidney, and it saved some life. And if you send a message to that person that your kidney has been used, and so like, then you see this is the real change. This is then all those transient emotions, those will go away. Now the person will feel, okay, yes, my action was not based on sentiments only. I did some work, I did some positive work. It has helped, it has helped somebody, and he will be at peace. Reinforce repeatedly, right? That is important. That's what the mass media company does. Every time keep on sending messages. Government has to also do it. If you have to increase the child sex ratio, you have to increase the, decrease the, remove absolute poverty, reinforce repeatedly. In fact, Professor Richard Thaler made a comment that world cannot live without nudges. Let's say companies are investing so much in advertisement. So it is not they are let's say unethical. No. It is a need. It is a need as a human nature. You want to sell a product. The product might be good as well. But if you do not show them, okay, this is my product, I want to sell it, I want to forget sell, I want to market it. And it is good for society. Till the humans do not know it, why they are going to use it. So that reinforcement is very, very important. Leverage loss aversion. This again, this is inbuilt in human nature. We avoid loss. Let's say, okay, this question might be asked. People feel less happy when they gain 100 rupees, but more unhappy when they lost 100 rupees. Let's say somebody found 100 rupees, okay, on one day. So just measure it happiness quotient, okay. Then somebody 100 rupees might be small. Let's say 1,000 rupees. 1,000 is also small. Let's say 5,000, okay. So 5,000 rupees you lost. What is your unhappiness quotient? And 5,000 rupees you gain. Although the result is zero, net gain is zero. But again, this is people, they are loss aversion. Okay. Then make messages mimic mental models. You already have some memories. So whatever message you are trying to convey, try to connect with them, mental models. This framework you can use. And do not think this is a old iconic survey. No, you can use these things. Now, these are the cognitive biases. Anchoring bias, failure bias, sunk cost bias. Okay, sunk cost. So let me discuss two biases. Anchoring bias. Okay, anchoring bias is, you give somebody option, so they revolve around that. So this is the bias inbuilt in human. See, when you study psychology, even in management, they ask what are the errors in decision making. That time you mentioned it. Anchoring bias, failure bias, sunk cost bias. Sunk cost means sunk cost. Let's say you studied a factory. Okay, Professor Richard Thaler gave an example, wonderful example. What he said. Let's say somebody give you a coupon, right, to watch, let's say, India versus New Zealand match in India, and this was free ticket. Right, free ticket, and on the day of match, it is snowing. Let's say not snowing, it's windy, and you cannot travel. But the match is happening. Match is happening, but you cannot travel. So how you will feel? You will feel okay. I should. You will say okay, I got it free. Leave it, no problem. But if you had bought this ticket, let's say suppose you bought it for $20, then what will you be feeling? So then you might you might say I should go because I paid for it. But in the both cases, it is a sunk cost. See, it has already happened. You have already bought the ticket, right? It has already bought the ticket. Whether it was for free or you paid it money. Now, from that moment, you have to take the decision whether to go for match or not. But can you see? In both cases, your decision making is different. Right? When you have paid for the ticket, you will feel like, it's a human nature. Not only you, but everyone, I believe 99% people will feel like going for that match because you will say, I paid for it. Right? I paid in a restaurant, the food is left, please pack it, I will take home. But if somebody, friend is giving treat, you will say, why to worry, friend is paying, right? Human nature. So this is what sunk cost. Sunk cost principle applies in accounting method, right? I have given a not very deep example, but when you study finance and accounts in rigorously, it becomes, very, very important, right? Let's say how you can use it in this thing. How you can, by what principle? By reinforce repeatedly. Remind people of past behavior. For example, they saved regularly for the last 3 months. To involve the sunk cost fallacy, people tend to continue their past behavior, especially when reminded of the same, right? So you're just telling them, okay, you did well, you saved for the last 3 months. So this is what is happening. Reinforce repeatedly. Fine. So they will keep on saving. Okay. Okay, let's see one more this thing. Loss aversion bias. Loss aversion, as we just now discussed, how you can put it in the policy making. Design incentive to reward good behavior with a threat to revoke. Let's say a child got enrolled. Okay, so how can you give rewards to that father of family? You can say, if you send your children to school, let's say some other scheme, some subsidy related to LPG or some other, right? That will be transferred to your account the moment the child get enrollment, or not only enrollment, some quality education. Okay, learning is also very important. Enrollment, what the enrollment will do. So this kind of policy can be designed. Okay. Okay. Now here they connect the 7 sins of Gandhiji. Very, very important. If you can recall, in GS4 they have asked, and forget GS4. This principle, 7 sins of Gandhi, you can use in your essay. Gandhi, you can use profitably in your GS. Profitably does not mean everywhere, but wherever you can connect it organically. Let's say you have read NCRTs, some concept very well. There, you will connect it automatically. See, even observe the writer of this economic survey. I was trying to guess, how deep is understanding. Now, if I can say, I have read, at least this part of Gandhiji very sufficiently, and this paper of, Professor Richard Thaler, 2-3 times. So it happens naturally. So let's say this framework; it is deeply embedded in your mind, and the different learning from the behavioral economics. Now he's trying to connect those things. See, now. Politics without principle. This is a sin of Gandhiji. Now, how you can, what principle can be used? Leverage loss aversion, right? So, generally, what he's trying to say, when we make policies, and let's say politicians or bureaucrats make policy, they, what he's saying, misuse of public office and lack of effective has led to the increased apathy toward participation in political process. So people are not involving themselves in political process because they know, they think that people are corrupt there, right? So what they are saying, behavioral insight to act as a loss aversion of policy can improve policy and legislation, uphold the politics with principle, right? If you okay, so this is what, although it, it is not very well connected, but what I am trying to say, this kind of connections you have to do in your UPSC mains as well. Gandhiji's 7 framework, and related principle of behavioral economics, and you are trying to connect. When you will read such kind of text, it will automatically happen for you as well. Fine. So this is the way he is trying to connect different. Okay. Let's see one more thing. Commerce without morality, emphasizing social norm. Let's say if you make morality a social norm, then it will reinforce. It will say, commerce has to be done with morality only. Right? Let's say during the pandemic, somebody starts selling water. Right? People will not. People might pay, but people will say, okay, let me wait for my time. Right? Ethics are moral principles that govern a person's action and reflect belief about right or wrong. These morals are shaped by social and cultural norm and religious practice. Okay. So what they are saying, okay, this example you can write. The National CSR Awards of Ministry of Corporate Affairs is an initiative in direction. Let's say you're writing CSR, CSR in GS3 paper, you have got questions on Companies Act as well, and CSR. So you can write this point that starting this award is a step in the right direction. Fine. So I'm assuming you guys will go through this. It's a wonderful chapter. Then here they are talking about the woman, Ardhanarishwara, Ardhanarishwara Sivaroop. It's both half male, female, and capture the equality between man and woman. Right? Then they talk about the Gargi, Maitreya. Right? So So the main idea of this lecture was this thing. You have to connect. See, this is what UPSC look for. Let's say there's a problem, and you know this behavioral economics, nudge thing, and how you are going to connect this thing with for your better policy making or human development. So Gandhiji's 7 sins, learning from behavioral economics, and the problems in society you are connecting, and this if you can do in mains or an essay, that would be wonderful one. You will get extra marks, not only extra marks, you will get very, very good marks. So I'm assuming you will try to go through this chapter. And okay, here they talk about the percentage of people who gave subsidy, LPG subsidy. And can you see people from Nagaland, 14%. This is Nagaland. See, UP, very few. I do not want to, criticize UP, but again, right, Kerala, even after all that development, how much you see? As the people, become more wealthy, they do not become charitable. Right? Mizoram, education, very, very high literacy rate. Right? So this is what we can learn from Northeast India. A good choice. Okay, I think you will go through it. So now what I will do, I will share with you this is the original paper of Professor Richard Thaler. What I will do, I just want to share 1 or 2 graphs. Okay. I just went through this paper, I went through this paper long back, but day before yesterday I went again. So what I want to do, I want to share something so that somewhere you can write it. Let's say what we shared. The story started with Professor Daniel Kahneman and Professor Tversky. And before that also there are behavioral economics are developing within the fold of psychology, sociology, but just this prospect theory by Professor Daniel Kahneman, that was a watershed moment. So they wrote a paper, Judgment Under Uncertainty, heuristics and biases. Heuristics is nothing but the rule of thumb. Let's say somebody says, you have to choose 3 things. And which one to choose? Let's say you make a rule, always choose the heavier one. Although heavier might not be always good. But these are the rule of thumb. Okay, let's say a shopkeeper is there and the 10 customers are there. How to serve them? He might make a heuristic, first come, first serve. Right? Or maybe first come, last serve. Then the customers will run away. Right? And your judgments is like forecast. As you know, economists call it forecast, that is your judgment. Right? Okay, see, this kind of examples you must try to write in your maybe somewhere. Let's say in India, the deaths from terrorism, or maybe not only terrorism, I think even from natural tragedies, are very, very less compared to death happening due to road accidents. Right? I think that is so. But let's say if there is a terrorist attack, or maybe let's say some death due to monsoon, or heavy monsoon or sandstorm. So it is so much publicized that it becomes a part and parcel of a memory. So yes. So what they are trying to say? Because such news are more available in the memory. If something is more available in the memory, so we try to think they are more in number. So please keep this point in mind somewhere, and you see yourself, where you can use it in mains copy or in your essay. Okay. Now, see what it is saying. Prospect theory. The theory is nearly 4 decades old and remains the most important theoretical concept to behavioral economics. I tell you how important this is. See how important this theory is. You have to imagine. See, there were 2 economists, von Neumann and Morgenstern. Von Neumann was a mathematician, and Morgenstern was an economist. They led to the foundation of rational choice theory, and it is a very rigorous book. It is not some out of fancy. Rigorously, they have gone into mathematics and they have developed this theory, rational choice theory. Okay, and then they started with some axioms. Let's say, as in geometry, start with some axioms, right? A line is passing through some point. See, a line from a point, infinite line can pass. Is there any proof for this? No. Similarly, in every theory, you make some axioms. So they, on the basis of some axioms, they made their theory, rational choice theory. Now, the prospect theory, then nudge theory, right? They are trying to, I will not say negate or refute. They are trying to say that even the rational choice theory is incomplete. So pervasive and so important is your nudge theory. Fine. So I hope you will remember this example, the importance of this. Fine. Now let's see, there is one wonderful graph. See, again, Adam Smith's theory of moral sentiment. What he made a remark, he characterized self-control problems as a struggle between passions. I want immediate gratification, right? Immediate gratification. Let's say you want to write a test, you want to prepare, or you want to maybe attending this lecture, or you might have an instant gratification. Why not have, go out and have fun? So, and it is very common in human nature. So you have to fight between passions and impartial spectator. Impartial spectators have long-term thinking. Passions is immediate gratification. So you have to strike a balance between them. And Adam Smith made this important observation. And if you see now, from theory of moral sentiments, you can trace prospect theory. Okay. And from prospect theory, you can trace null theory. Fine. Okay, now let's see. Okay. See what one important observation they made. Okay, what they're trying to say, let's say there are many economics model, even how to relate it. Let's say government of India, right? Government of India has let's say government of India, some GDP is there, some total revenue is there. Okay, total revenue connection is there. And okay, this much is for education, this much is for health. So we generally assume that funds from one ministry can be transferred from another ministry, right? What do you assume? So see, you might have observed sometime, let's say education ministry is running short of fund, but the health ministry had some department is health ministry had some some extra funds, and at the end of March rush, they were trying to spend it, right? Otherwise, it will lapse. So there is an assumption that money is not treated as fungible. Fungible means transfer, cannot be transferred. So again, there was a theory by Modigliani. What he assumed that people can transfer wealth from one system to another. Let's say you have established, you saved some money for house construction, right? For children education or different purposes. So what we assumed that generally people can transfer money from one purpose to another purpose. But this nudge theory and prospect theory, they have questioned that assumption. No, generally people do not do that. Let's say you made some fund for the health emergency. Okay, let's say my fund is there for some health emergency. I can take some risk with that fund. Let's say if there is some money for my child education, I will say, no, I cannot take risk with that fund. That has to be secure. Fine. So this is how it is inbuilt in human nature. And that is why rational choice theory is not foolproof. Okay. Right. Aside from the fact that the function is defined over gain. Okay, see, you have to understand one more thing. The gain and loss function display diminishing sensitivity. The difference between, let's say difference between 10 and 20. Suppose you gain, you want to test whether how sensitive you are to gain or loss. If the difference between 10 and 20 is how much? $10. Similarly, difference between here and here, 1010 and 1020 is also $10. But the people will be more affected here, right? because here it is more steep. And second, the loss function is steeper than the gain function. Very, very important. It is deeply inbuilt in nature. We are more affected by our loss rather than our gain. Fine. So this is what you can say, this graph. Okay. See, you're not going to write all these things in UPSC, but these ideas, these thoughts, if somewhere you use. So see, what is this? Your loss function. Okay. This is your, okay, I will call it value function. Value function, right? This is your value. Let me draw it again. This is your value. This you can see is your one graph, and this I can say is your another graph. Okay. This is for loss. This is for loss. This is for gain. So can you see value and gain? So it is not so steeper, right? It is steep, but here can you see it is so steep. So you are more affected by, right, this one, your loss, right? Very, very important concept. Okay, this is fine. Now, one more thing. This idea you must keep somewhere in your mind. What they are trying to say. Let's say you gain $50 in the morning, right? How see what the idea is. Do people do editing in their mind? Let's say you gain something in the morning, then gain something in the afternoon, then in the evening. So you will take the cumulative effect. Okay, this much I gained in the total day. The traders do the, apply this formula. Let's say in the morning he gained 10,000 rupees. Okay, 10k positive. Then 10k afternoon, 18k negative. Then 20k positive, right? Then 15k negative. What is happening with the trader? So what the trader will think? This is how much? 33 and 30. So let me make it 23. So you can see the net gain is 0, right? But how it is affecting? It might happen that at the end of the day, he might feel very, very unhappy. Although he has gained nothing or lost nothing. And let us take the opportunity cost of the day as well, and you add 2k plus more. So you can say, let's suppose the opportunity cost is 2,000 per day. So at the end of the day, he's even, but he might still have negative emotions, unhappy, because due to this. So what they are trying to say, people do hedonic editing. Hedonic editing means to try to, they will do editing in their mind in such a way so that their happiness rises. So how that happened? So let's say you gained 50 and 100 rupees, So what they're trying to say, if you gain only 150 rupees at one time, but you gain 50 at one time in the morning and 100 in afternoon, so this thing is more. You will feel more happy if you gain 50 rupees in the morning, 100 rupees in the afternoon. But if somebody found only 150 rupees less in the afternoon, this gives you more happiness, more editing. So this is what you can use. Fine. So just I do not want to go into all these things. So I believe today we have discussed nudge theory sufficiently, and please see where you can use it. I'm sure pretty sure somewhere you will use it. And this model you can use in a GS4 paper. CAB model you have understood. Economic survey chapter you have read. You know something about See, do not write it superficially. If you know something, then only write. Do not throw names. So let's say you might have read some other author in detail. So try to use that concept. But this is my suggestion. Try to invest some 3-4 hours on nudge theory, and you will see your 3-4 marks in UPSC mains will increase just using this concept. Okay. Thank you very much.